So I don't know, I've never written before, I don't know if that's a sort of normal process for someone who's writing. But I wasn't the most disciplined. You know, I didn't say I'm going to work from this amount of time to then. I just, it was usually forcing myself to do it. Yes.
Did you do much rewriting? Did you go back over the material that you'd done?
Only the first chapter, which I wrote about 4 years ago and thought was probably genius. It was quite wonderful. And I didn't bother to read it again until I'd written the rest of the book. I knew I wanted to do some editing, so I went back and read the first chapter. It was the biggest load of bollocks you ever. And I emailed Douglas, who was my editor, and said, I hate the woman who wrote this. She's arch, she's clever, she thinks. And she's sort of saying, oh, I'm so terribly intelligent. No, rubbish. So I had to completely rewrite that. But fortunately, by then I'd found my voice or my way of writing. And we're both very pleased that chapter 1 has changed.
Yes, what you said to me when you had another look at it was, she's trying very hard and much too obviously to be intelligent, sensitive and perceptive. Vomit, vomit, vomit. I did get some quite vivid emails as well as the actual chapters, and the emails would make a book in themselves. But your IT skills have come on dramatically, haven't they?
They haven't, darling. In my acknowledgements, I've acknowledged the 2 boys in the IT shop in Saline Mall in South Africa. I'm hopeless. I hate it. And I'd rush in there every week. I'd write a chapter and I'd have to then send it as an attachment to Douglas. And he'd get it and he couldn't open it because it was zipped or something, I don't know. And I'd rush in, sweating with my laptop, saying, help me, I can't send it, do something, do something. And they say, go and have a coffee, darling. And they just press a button, and of course I couldn't go. And then I get an email back from this one saying, well, just do what you've done before in the past when it's worked. But when it's worked, it would be just pressing buttons saying, oh, for God's sake, go, 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 go. And sometimes it would go, but I'd no idea what I'd press. No. I'm a Luddite, darling, trust me.
Yes, I did get some very strange attachments to what appeared to be the components of programs and things, and then there were very vivid descriptions as well, which there are children in the audience, so I can't possibly say what they were. It expanded my vocabulary. But you said you'd written that first chapter about 4 years ago, and I wondered how far back the idea of doing a biography goes.
Oh, friends have been talking to me about it for 30 years or something, you know, absurd. And it was only when I started writing it that I realised why it had taken me so long. And also, I thought I had nothing to say. I spent most of my life as a depressive. Well, that's going to make a good read, isn't it? But by the time I actually got to it, I did have a bit to say, I think. Didn't I?
Oh, yes. It got more and more vivid. And there was certainly one point, around about the middle, where I was a bit worried about you writing it on your own, because you did seem to be digging very deep, and I wondered how much of a struggle that middle section was.
Are we talking about Hollywood and all that? Yes. That was quite difficult to write. It was a very difficult period. And you did let me take 3 weeks off afterwards. Have a drink, he said. Forget about it for a bit. I was pissed for 3 weeks.
So was I. There was also a little bit of writer's block as well, I remember, at one point.
Yes.
What was the problem with that?
I just got stuck, and I didn't know what else to do. So I took another 3 weeks off. And then it seemed to flow. That was obviously the way for me to get through it.
I didn't chivvy her. I just said, oh, take some time off, darling. That's writer's block, it's fine. Going to the dam will help you with your restorative process. Do you have a favourite bit of the book?
I think my favourite bits are towards the end, where it does get lighter. There are a few laughs. And because I've reached a point now in my life where I'm so happy, and to write about that flowed, it came very easily. And I think that was my happiest, yes.
Do you think you could have written the book if you'd stayed here, or did being in Africa help?
I think being in Africa helped a lot. I had the solitude. I lived by myself in Africa with my dogs. It's very beautiful there. And there are the distractions I would have had in London. And I was all too ready to go for it. If this was a distraction, I'd go for it, you know what I mean? So I think being in Africa was the best thing that could have happened. Yeah.
At one point, I think when you were struggling a bit, I sent you a quote by a writer called J.R. Ackerley, and he wrote, "I think writers live often in a state of emotional overflow as they work. Tears, perhaps maudlin, self-hugs of delight, grins of satisfied hatred. These pleasures are partly psychological, partly artistic." How far was that your experience?
Absolutely. Okay.
That's the right answer. Were there any scores set writing the book?
Oh, yes. Actually, it would have been that thick, but due to the fact that I could have been
libel laws,
libel
there was a
laws.
last-minute panic about a couple
It
of
all had to
anecdotes,
come out. But yes, I did settle some scores, and I'm very pleased I did. Particularly on the last theatre job I did, where I was treated appallingly, with one or two exceptions, and I got great satisfaction from writing that and letting everybody know.
We did. That was one of the bits where we had to take out some of the libelous stuff. But she'll tell you it later, probably. Just buy her a glass of wine. Yes, that was your last experience of acting, and I wondered whether you missed that at all.
Acting? The extraordinary thing is I don't, not at all. And I don't know if it's because I've reached a stage in my life where I have these two completely opposite sides. There's one side of me that's very gregarious and outgoing and loves to be with people, and the other side is very private and solitary. And Africa suits that side of my nature. So I don't feel any desire to act again. I miss actors, because they're my tribe, really. But I catch up with them when I'm in London. But I no longer feel, which I did for years, that if I wasn't working, I didn't exist. So no.
Do you think you've displaced that creative impulse onto writing then?
I think perhaps I never had another creative outlet. And it's very difficult if you're an actor, because it's not really something you can do on your own. You're reliant on people to cast you, scripts, all that. But with writing, it's down to you. And I like that. I like the independence of it.
Do you think there's another book on the way?
I don't know. I mean... I'm sorry? Who knows? I'm certainly not. I haven't closed my mind to it. So there may well be, depending on the reception of this one.
And how far do you think writing your blog was helpful as a
Hugely.
to it?
Hugely. I was made a present of my blog some years ago by a friend who designed my site. And he said, "I'm giving you this as a present, but it's on the condition that you write a blog." So, right. So I started writing, and it was through writing the blog and the feedback I got from people who read it that made me realize I could communicate with people, and got me to the point where I felt confident enough to write a book. Yes.
What kind of feedback were you getting?
Well, it seems that people found my style very intimate, as though I were talking to them personally. And I liked that. So I think that's present in the book as well. Yes?
I think that's one of the great strengths of the book, and right from the word go, I think that's there. But I wondered if you'd had to work at that, or if it came naturally.
No, it's just the way it comes out. I write as I think.
I think it shows, and I think that does make it a very, very intimate, an intimate tone. Just to think a bit more closely about the content of the book, one of the things that does really make it a good read is the, as it says in the blurb, the stars and the names that appear in it. And I wanted to just take you through a couple of them. I mean, one of the ones I think that one of the people that stands out is Sammy Davis Jr.
Yes.
And I wonder if you could tell us a bit about how you met him and how you got to know him.